So today's video is going to be about the first person that I ever fell in love with. And I actually recently found an old journal where I actually write down like the entire, like everything that happened, the entire chain of events, just pages and pages and pages and pages, because this was something that went on for years and years and years and years and years. My love and affection for this person. So I'm going to tell the whole story, and yeah, it's really something. So, I met this girl in the 3rd grade. That's when we first met. We were in different classes, though, but, like, that's when I first met her and knew who she was. And, you know, we knew of each other during elementary school because we went to the same elementary school, but it wasn't until junior high school when we really first started talking to each other and got to know each other and, you know, kind of became friends. So over the year in 6th grade, that whole year, we, you know, our friendship slowly grew over time, and I considered her, you know, especially in that junior high school where most of the kids were not very nice to me, and I was often bullied, made fun of, that sort of thing. She was one of the few people that was always, like, really cool with me and always treated me with respect, was always just, you know, she treated me like a human being, which is something that I wanted so badly in my life at that time and didn't really have enough of, unfortunately. So, you know, we'd hang out during class all the time. We would talk, and, you know, like, we would, like, school trips and that sort of thing. And we were also, like, in the band, too. So, we were both trumpet players, but the thing is, we didn't really have that like as a bonding experience because she was actually really good and I sucked like bad. And it's not even like, oh, I sucked, like I just had no interest in it. It was kind of just something I was forced into, like being part of the school band. I didn't really want to be in it. So even though we had that in common, we didn't really have that in common, if that makes any sense. But that was another time where I would see her all the time during band class and that sort of thing. We didn't really see each other outside of class. Like, we weren't that close. But she was closer with my my best friend, or the person who I thought was my best friend at the time, because they were, like, neighbors. They lived, like, right near each other, so they would always hang out. But, yeah, I didn't really spend too much time with her outside of school. But she is someone that made a huge impression on me at that point in my life where, you know, I didn't really have a lot of positive energy. She was one of the few sources of that. Yeah, I considered her one of my best friends, even though she, you know, didn't really feel that same way about me. Like, it's hard to explain, but pretty much, like, there are people in your life that you feel a lot more attached to and you feel like you're really close with, but they don't necessarily always feel the exact same way. And it's not always, like, out of malice. It's not always a bad thing. It's not like she was, like, mean to me or bad to me or anything like that. But, you know, I think I definitely always, even before I started developing feelings of her, I think I always just viewed her in a much higher regard. And, you know, like, I considered her a better friend, like a closer friend than she did with me. I don't know. It was like this whole, it was a strange situation to find myself in. I didn't really think of her much in a romantic way during most of that time in the 6th grade. I just considered her a good friend, and I liked her, and, you know, like, I just liked her as a friend. But that eventually changed. Towards the end of the year, I started to see her as more than just that. I mean, there were a whole bunch of girls that I was interested in the 6th grade, but she was not one of them until she did. She became, like, someone who I was actually like. So there were girls that I'm like, oh, I like them, and I think they're cute or whatever. But the way I felt about her was so much different, something I never felt before. And, you know, I consider her the first person I ever fell in love with. So here's how it started. Like, when I knew that I had feelings for her. She was, we were, like, in homeroom class, and she, you know, we were just talking because we sat, like, close to each other, and she was telling me about how there's this guy this mystery guy that she is really interested in, but she's afraid to tell him, and that sort of thing. And then like that's when like it started to click, like in that moment, like it started to really like click in my head that like I really want that person to be me. I feel something for her that's more than just friends. That's like something I never felt before. I was 12 years old at the time. I never felt anything like this. And I really just want her to say right now that that person is me. So then she says, I'm going to whisper into your ear who this person is that I have feelings for. And I remember just like, it was like the longest 5 seconds of my life, because as she puts like, her mouth to my ear, and she's like, slowly like starting to get like and whisper who that the person is, I'm like, please be me, please be me, please be me, please be me. And I remember just like being so hopeful that it would be, and then it turned out to be this person who who I didn't really think was a very good person. I'll just put it that way. So I was very bummed out, and I remember just feeling like this feeling in my chest that I didn't really understand at the time, but it was heartbreak, a broken heart. And I remember, I was stewing on this for a long time. I'm like, she's like interested in this guy, and I really want her to be interested in me. So what do I do in this situation? Do I tell her how I feel? What do I do? So I ended up, not telling her, because I was just so afraid that if I did, then it would completely change the dynamic of our friendship, and we wouldn't even have a friendship anymore. And I didn't want that to happen, because she was someone that at the time was very, very important to me, and I did not want to lose her, even though it hurt. It started to like hurt, like, I never really thought of her this way. It just kind of slowly happened over time, and it just got to the point where like whenever we were talking, even if it was just like a friendly situation, like just about anything, didn't even have to be about guys or anything like that, I would just have this pit in my chest, like because I have something that I need to tell her, but I can't. So it was a huge conflict that I had. So so this was like towards the end of 6th grade. There was maybe like a week or two of school left after that. I decided not to tell her. I decided to tell my best friend, who was close with her, who, I didn't think that he would tell her. He didn't tell her. Credit where credit's due. He was a pretty shitty friend, but at least he didn't spill the beans to her that I had feelings and, that sort of thing. It's just someone that I can confide in, because it was something that I held to myself and didn't tell anybody, because I knew if I told people, like in school, that it would just spread around and, that would be it. But over that summer, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I remember I had a really good summer. I was doing so many great, fun things, and it was like probably one of the best summers of my life, 2010. But I still, even, though I was preoccupied and doing so many things, I couldn't stop thinking about her. And how, like, when school comes back, or whenever the next time I see her, like, she needs to know. I need to tell her, and I need to do something about this, because I cannot keep living like this, So, what else? Because I'm reading through the journal, because, like, a lot of this is, like, starting to come back to me now. So 7th grade comes back around, and I just remember being, like, so happy to see her again, because I didn't see her during the entire summer, and just, like, being able to see her, her beautiful face, and, just an amazing person, like, which I always thought before that, but now it's, like, in a completely different context, because it's, like, romantic now, my feelings towards her. So things just weren't the same as they were before. The dynamic of our friendship was different, even though it had nothing to do with her. She didn't do anything to make it different. It was all on me, and me just trying to, come to terms with my feelings and figure out how to address them and what to even do about them. And I remember, I viewed this as one of the best moments of my life at the time. So we went to a class trip on the 7th grade in Philadelphia. It was me, my best friend, and her. It was like the three of us kind of hanging out. And like we were like on the school bus together, just talking and, hanging out. And And then we were like out in Philadelphia and everything, and I remember just like having so much fun on that trip, and her being like such a huge part of that. While I'm trying to like, I'm just like trying to forget my feelings, but it's like really, really hard. But this is like the best moment, what I considered at the time like the best moment of my life. So we're at the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, which if you don't know what that is, it used to be a prison, but it kind of became like a horror show sort of thing where they have a bunch of scary people dressed up in costumes, and you walk down like these really dark corridors, and like it's like this really spooky thing, and they jump at you and try to scare you and that sort of thing. And I remember there was like this monster or whatever that like jumped out, and I don't remember I remember like that she like was I forget what the whole thing was actually, but there was like she thought actually now it's coming back to me now because we're talking about something that happened almost 15 years ago, but now I remember it again. She thought like from the angle that she was looking at, because we were like near each other, she thought that the guy that jumped out was like grabbing me or touching me or whatever, and she thought like that like I was like in trouble or something was happening with me, like, that this person was attacking me or some shit like that. And then he left, and then I remember she like grabbed my arms like this, like she grabbed my hand, like she was grabbing me like around here, and she was like, did he hurt you, did he touch you, anything like that? And just like her touching me and grabbing and like holding me, I remember like just wow, like just like so many different emotions going on at the same time. Like I remember just feeling so happy and so like, I don't know, like this is the greatest moment of my entire life. And then at that point, like it really settled in, like I have to do something about this. I have to tell her, I have to do something. And I remember just like all night not even sleeping, because we had to go back from the trip the same night. Like I think we didn't get back home until like 11:30 at night, and my mom's like, you have to come back to school the next day, even though like I got home really late and I had school. I had to get up at like 6:30, 7 in the morning. I remember not sleeping at all, because all I was doing, like I just remember like just a rush of adrenaline, like still like that I was reliving that moment over and over and over and over again of her grabbing my hand, and just like how amazing that felt. And just thinking like, okay, first of all, like maybe there's hope. Maybe she does feel something towards me. Maybe. And just like I have to, like, again, like it's just being further, in my head that like I can't keep the secret any longer. I just can't. So there's more. There's like 3 more pages of this shit. So I ended up telling somebody else, and this is how this whole thing started. Aside from my best friend, I told like another kid in school about the fact that I have feelings for this girl, and then it just spread from there on out. He told another person, who told another person, who told another person, who told one of her friends, and then eventually got back to her. So the cat was finally out of the bag after like, I don't know, like 5 months of me like having like serious feelings for her. Finally, like there was a lot of relief that it was finally out there and that it wasn't a secret anymore, because it was like really, really, really hard just keeping all that to myself. But it was finally out there. And I remember her asking, so my best friend came up to me in the schoolyard and was like, she's asking me about you, meaning me, about me. She's asking if you like her, if you have feelings for her. And I'm like, yeah, because at first, like, because he didn't know that, like, it spread around the whole school at that point. So he thought that she was, like, interested in me and that she wanted to know if I felt the same way. But it was more like, it got out to her, and she was trying to confirm with him because, he was friends with me and he was friends with her too. So she was trying to, like, figure out, like, what was going on. She didn't feel the same way. She did not. But I confessed my feelings for her. I told her how I felt. She let me down very gently. She said that she didn't feel the same way, but she hopes that we can still be friends and that sort of thing. But our friendship was never the same again. It really wasn't the same again since I started developing the feelings, but now that it was out there, I just felt like, yeah, it's there's no way it could be the same again unless I just like get over it, right? Like get over it, move on to someone else, that sort of thing. But it that was a lot easier said than done. A lot easier said than done. I remember she would go out, date other guys. You know, we're 12 years old, so you know, dating at that point is really not actual dating. But I remember just being like so jealous and feeling so shitty about myself because it's like, what is it that these guys have that I don't? You know, that sort of thing. And I was at a point where I already had like very low self-esteem and low confidence just because of the environment I was at and in school, where everyone was just like everyone was hating on me. Like I was just getting shit on every day by different kids saying, you know, you're a fag, you're ugly, you're this and you're that. So it was very difficult. And I'm not going to say that she added to the low self-esteem is not very fair, because it's not her fault that she didn't fucking feel anything for me. Like you're not going to reciprocate every time someone has feelings for you, right? So it's like it's not on her, but I just say like that experience definitely added to it. It's like, man, the girl of my dreams doesn't feel anything for me, so I feel shitty about myself, you know, that kind of thing. And it added to my depression and my, you know, that all those negative feelings that I was feeling at the time. I remember I asked I just got to the point though where like I was desperate. I was like, I need to be with this girl no matter what. But instead of like presenting myself in a way to make myself attractive, I would just pretty much ask her out constantly and like almost borderline harass her. I would ask her out like so many different times. Like I remember that I even had like a scheme to be like, oh, I'm going to ask her out on my birthday. And because it's my birthday, she can't say no, because then she'd be mean if she said no. I ended up not actually doing that, but I remember like it got out like that, like, because I told someone my plan, and that plan got back to her, and she's like, so that's your plan? And I'm like, not anymore. She couldn't say no on my birthday. Yeah, what a great idea. I would always try to go for other girls. There were other girls that I had like some kind of interest, but they were always secondary to her, honestly. It was more of like, okay, there are these other girls in the school. I'm gonna just like make myself have feelings for them so that I can move on from her, and then maybe they'll feel something for me too. None of them felt anything for me, but honestly, it's I didn't really actually like have real feelings for any of them except for one, which maybe I'll tell a different, you know, in a different video. I'll tell that story. But yeah, she was always like the person who I really wanted to be with, like during my entire time in middle school and even into high school. It lasted a very long time. I felt, you know, really strongly about her for, let's say, almost 5 years. Like from the 6th grade until like 10th grade, so like 4 years, whatever. Is there anything else here? Because there's like a lot of shit that I wrote down. But yeah, like even after she rejected me romantically, she did continue to treat me with respect. So it kind of like made the feelings even stronger, because she still treated me like a human being and like a person, instead of just like this like horrible, disgusting person. Because, you know, with a lot of girls in my life that I've you know, during school that I would, you know, say that I had feelings for them, they would be like, ew, that's disgusting, like, go fuck yourself. She never said anything like that. She never did anything like that. So it was nothing like on her part, no action that she took, nothing that she ever said or did, like, that was, you know, that she never did anything wrong. Like, for a person who was like, you know, who had these feelings for her, that was honestly borderline obsessed with her, you know, because it did get bad to a certain point. I think I may have written down some of that stuff in here. I just talk about like how, yeah, in the 7th grade, I wrote a love poem for her at the end of the year as a parting gift, so maybe she would think about me over the summer, like I did with her the previous summer. I don't remember exactly what the poem was. I was just like, I remember just like, okay, here's a bunch of words, and I want like everything to rhyme, and I don't really think that it was a very good poem, but she seemed flattered, because just the fact that I took time and wrote something about her, and she said, "Oh, this is such a beautiful poem, thank you." You know, I don't know if she actually meant that, but that was you know, something that I did, and I, you know, yeah. So this is like a year at this point, and I still have very strong feelings for her. I try talking to other girls, and it doesn't work out, and I just like kind of like default back to her kind of thing, because she's like the first person I ever felt this strongly for before. So I'm like, I really just want her. I don't really want anybody else. In 8th grade, everything's pretty much the same. She's friendly towards me, but like it's really not the same. And again, most of that's my fault. We still have like a fairly good friendship though, sort of. But, I think we definitely, if I never said that I had feelings for her, if I never had feelings for her, we definitely would have had like a much closer friendship relationship. Like, and who knows, like maybe we would have still been friends for a lot longer, because after 8th grade we didn't really talk to each other that much. Even though we went to the same high school, we were pretty much strangers at that point, because she was just like, yeah, I don't know what I could do anymore for this guy, because he's just like in pain, and I don't know what I can do to make it better. I don't feel anything for him, like, so what am I going to do? So again, this is all me, not her. She didn't do anything wrong. And I never thought that she did anything wrong the entire time, to be honest, but I just felt like it was all about being shitty about myself, Oh yeah, I got her roses for Valentine's Day, because they were selling roses in school, in the 8th grade. Another thing that happened. So in the 8th grade, we had a dance party for band class. It was like for all the music students. And I remember my mom told me I had to go, even though I didn't want to go, because I wasn't very close with all those kids. And a lot of them didn't really like me. So I'm like, I don't really want to go to this party where people are going to just not want me to be there, and it would just kind of be awkward. And my mom's just like, fuck you, you're going. Like, you have to socialize and do shit, because I didn't really go out a lot because, again, of how little friends I had at the time. So I went, and I ended up actually having a good time and dancing and doing all that kind of stuff. And then that moment in 7th grade, which I thought was the best moment of my life, now this was the best moment of my life. And then that's like when all the hope started coming back, that maybe she has feelings for me, that maybe after all this time, maybe she finally feels something. She just randomly asked me to dance with her in the middle of the dance, and we're dancing for however long. And I remember just like, it felt like I was in heaven, because I never danced with her before. So I'm like, first of all, I'm just enjoying the moment, first of all. Like, I'm dancing with a beautiful girl, the girl of my dreams, that sort of thing. And then also, like, the false hope comes back that maybe finally she'll feel something. But it was apparently one of her friends told her to do it, because she felt bad for me. Like, her friend felt bad for me because I wasn't sitting by myself or anything. Like, I was dancing, but I was kind of like dancing alone. I wasn't really like with people. I was kind of just doing my own thing. So she thought it would be a nice thing to convince this girl, the girl, that I had feelings for, to dance with me, and she did. But I thought it meant like, okay, maybe now she's feeling something. She didn't. And then we took photos in the photo booth, and I still have the photos somewhere. I don't know where they are, but I remember that was another moment. I specifically danced to Whip My Hair by Willow Smith. Just so you know, that's a very important detail right there. I got so dizzy from dancing, my head was spinning. The moment I've finally been waiting for 2 years is finally happening. I wooed her with my dance moves. That's what I fucking wrote. Holy shit. I was so delusional. But yeah, she was pretty much just pressured by another girl, like by her friend, to dance with me, like out of pity. She didn't really want to. But I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna take her to prom. I'm gonna, we're gonna, like, it's finally happening. But I found out she was already dating someone else, and that she was going to prom with him instead. And I just, like, felt so crushed. I mean, I felt crushed so many times, like, just heartbreak, like that pit in my stomach, that feeling in my chest. But that really was like when I knew for sure that all hope was lost, that it was never going to happen, and I had to come to terms with that. Something I should have realized a lot sooner, and honestly, it took a lot longer for me to get over that. Like, because even like 2 years after that, I still had a crush on her. It wasn't really a crush at that point. I was like madly in love. Um, but I was telling myself I can't do this anymore. I have to move on at this point. She's never gonna love me. Um, it's just not gonna happen. So my friend had an idea. He told me to write a letter to her, just describing exactly how I feel, and everything that I'm going through, and why I feel so strongly about her, and why I feel all these things. And it's kind of just because it was towards the end of 8th grade and end of middle school, that it was kind of like a way of getting closure for me, to just write down all my feelings and express them one last time. And then she can, she gets the letter and she reads it. But it's just kind of just a way to get everything out of my system, pretty much. Because I wasn't really telling her, obviously, everything that was going through my head, just that I really like her and that she means a lot to me. She didn't really know, deep down, what I was feeling, right? So I wrote down a lot of those feelings to her, and I remember it was during our senior trip to Boston. I gave it to him, because he was, on the bus with her, because we were on 2 different buses, and she got the letter, and I pretty much wrote, okay, so I actually describe what I write in here, that I wish you the best. I hope this guy gives you everything you need and that he treats you well. I just want you to be happy. That's all I ever wanted, as painful as it is, that I'm not the person that can do that for you. I still wish you the best. It was pretty much like a goodbye letter. He delivered the letter to her. From what I was told, she was moved by it, and it brought her to tears. But I wasn't there, so I don't know for sure how she actually felt. But that was it. I didn't really talk to her anymore, because otherwise I couldn't move on from her otherwise. If I just kept talking to her and being friends with her and that sort of thing. So I was kind of trying to force myself to distance myself, because it set in bro, you're delusional. You need to stop this shit. You're pretty much obsessed. You're still fixating on the same girl for so long. Give it a fucking rest. You got to give it a rest. So then prom night, she's all I'm all dressed up. I'm in a nice suit. I even got my hair done and everything. And I'm getting compliments. This is crazy, because during that entire time in middle school, it was mostly negative energy and negative attention towards me. I was getting nothing but love and positive energy towards me. Everyone complimented me how great I look, and how I look good, and just everything. And I was actually hanging out with a lot of people during that prom. I was even dancing with some girls, because I was dancing like crazy, and they're we want to dance. The whole bunch of girls were lining up, they wanted to dance with me. It was crazy, nothing I ever experienced before. But even then, having all that fun, and I was keeping this girl off my mind, the girl that at that point I was in love with for years, and she was at prom with a different guy. And I wanted to be that guy so badly, more than anything else in life. I just wanted to be that guy for her. I'm still trying to keep it out of my mind. There are actually people who are with me, and they're actually giving me a lot of love and support, because they know how they knew the whole saga, with me and that girl, and that whole thing, my history, and how strongly I felt. It was the whole school pretty much knew, but the guys in my friend group, they were yeah, we got you today, we're gonna keep you off, we're gonna keep her off your mind, you're gonna have a great time. And they did that. Credit where credit's due. Even a lot of people who weren't nice to me for all those 3 years, in that one night, that one moment, they were actually there for me, and it meant a lot. It meant something. So yeah, then I'm tired from dancing. I go to sit down to kind of take a rest, because I'm moving like crazy. There's actually still a DVD out there of the prom night, and me just dancing. The whole night is just video of me dancing, because I was the star of the fucking prom. To be honest, it was something else. But I sit down, and then I just see her. It's like the scene of a movie. It's like the dance floor is suddenly like clearing up, and I just see the two of them, her and the guy, dancing, having a great time, having the time of their life. And I remember just like, all those positive feelings, all, the fun that I was having, the last couple hours during prom, it was like it just all vanished in an instant. And I was suddenly sad and depressed again because I guess I didn't see them before, like, because, it was a big prom and there were a lot of kids dancing there. And it's just in that one moment I happened to see the two of them, and it just, it just set me off, like, really bad. And then she saw me. She saw me sitting alone at that table, like, looking all depressed, and she knew why. She knew that, like, I saw them dancing with each other, and she knew I was upset about that. I think that speaks to the kind of person she was, and the huge part of what made me so attracted to her is just, like, how nice she was. I never really, like, during my life, especially during that time in my life in junior high school, I didn't really meet and encounter too many people that were so nice and treated me, like, with such respect. She actually came up to me, saw me sitting alone at the table, and she actually sat next to me and was asking me if I was okay and how I was doing, knowing that it was because of her. It was because of me, but you know what I mean. I think that just speaks volumes, again, like, to the type of amazing person that she was, and, why she was the first person I fell in love with in the first place. And I remember, like, just feeling so shitty that night, feeling like, I shouldn't have gone to prom, and it was a waste of time, and it was horrible, and I don't know what to do with myself anymore, that sort, like, just so many different feelings going through. So, yeah, graduation, we signed each other's yearbook. We wished each other well over the summer. And then, randomly during the summer, I think it's like July or August at that point, like, right, like, a month before high school starts, I'm randomly getting text messages from her. She's sending me messages. She didn't have my number before. I don't even think we ever, like, texted or messaged each other, which, looking back is actually kind of weird. So, like, it was just me just being obsessed with her. We never really, like, contacted each other outside of school that much, because, at that point, I was just the guy that was obsessed with her. I wasn't an actual friend, and that was on me, not on her. But she asked someone for my phone number, one of my friends, and he gave her my number, and she was sending me text messages about, just asking how I'm doing, knowing that, like, I was, like, fucked up, just, like, from all the shit in middle school and everything, and, I guess about her and a whole bunch of different things. So she was just, like, checking up on me and seeing how I was doing and, making sure I was okay. And then things start to take a weird turn. She's suddenly asking me about, like, how much do I love her, and do I still love her? And of course I say yes, and I say I love her very much. I'm a fucking kid, so I'm fucking stupid. I know I'm being, like, manipulated in some way. I think she probably, like, got in a fight with her boyfriend or something like that, and she's feeling shitty, so, I'm the guy that, always views her in such a, like, highly, like, I in such high regard. So she's asking me, she said, tell me how beautiful I am, tell me how much you love me, like, just sending me all these messages. And of course I go along with it because I was a fucking simp for her. I was a fucking simp, even though, like, I knew that I was being manipulated a little bit. And I remember just being, like, so confused about the whole thing. But I'm like, okay, I'm finally moving on. This is it. This is actually it. I'm not gonna, feel anything about her anymore. I'm moving on 100%. This is it. High school comes, and we're in the same class, English class in 9th grade, but she's still with the same guy. So I'm like, and it's been like, 2.5 years at that point of me having these feelings for her and her never reciprocating them. So I'm like, okay, I'm not like, I think we talk, like, we send each other text messages here and there, just about some stuff, like, just about school and that kind of shit, but never, like, anything romantic or anything like that. But we're also not really close or, like, that really close with each other. But I'm also, like, I like, at that point, I'm kind of, like, resigned to the fact that, like, it's never going to happen, so it is what it is. and just try to like have a normal friendship slash relationship with her, you know, instead of just being the weird kid that's obsessed with her, actually like be like a friend. But it ended up just, you know, we kind of just went our own way over time. We didn't really see each other that often. And, you know, even though we were in the same school, we were pretty much like our paths never crossed sort of thing. Because in middle school, we were in this, like, all the same classes. We saw each other all the fucking time. So that made it a lot harder to move on. But the fact that I didn't really see much of her anymore, even though we still went to the same school, it made it a lot easier to finally come to terms and move on and, you know, just kind of get past this shit. Because it's, like, ridiculous at this point. How many fucking years and you're not over it, right? We don't see each other much. Oh, yeah, so... Yeah, so most of the ninth grade, I'm not really thinking about her anymore. The rest of the year, because again, I don't see her. And then 10th grade comes along, and we're texting randomly about whatever, and she drops a bomb, a huge bomb, because I always was under the impression that she never had any feelings for me during any time, you know, during the entire time that we knew each other. And then she, I think it was like the way that the conversation starts, like no girl likes me, and you know, I don't think any girl like has ever had feelings for me before, and it's like, you know, it's fucked up, and I don't know what to do. And then she says, "That's not true. There actually is a girl that had feelings for you, and that girl was me." And I'm like, what? Like my whole fucking like, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? So she's like, yeah, I think she said, like, in the 6th grade, I had feelings for you, and I liked you, and I had a crush on you, and in my head, like, I'm just doing, like, you know that meme when, like, all the math equations, like, pop out of, like, you know, come out of, and this person's, like, looking all confused? That was literally me, because I'm trying to figure out the exact timeline of when this was, and, like, just trying to relive the moment and be like, you know, like, did I fuck up? Yeah, she said it was like towards the end of 6th grade, so it could have been like right before, or like a couple of weeks or a few months before I ended up starting to develop feelings myself for her. So I'm like, fuck, did I just like, I fucked up badly. Like, I should have got feelings for her sooner, or maybe I should have just told her right then and there. Maybe she liked me then. Like, I was trying to figure out when was this, and did we ever like have feelings for each other at the same time? And I still don't know the answer to that. I don't know. But she was pretty much like, I have a feeling that she never really did, but she wanted to say that because she's like, well, there's no harm in saying that, because I'm just saying, like, oh, yeah, years and years and years ago, I had a, you know, because, you know, you're talking about, you know, because I'm insecure about girls never liking me, but, you know, she's saying that years ago she had a crush on me. No harm in that, but in my head, I'm just, like, totally overthinking it and being like, what could I have done differently? And, like, you know, is there a world where we could have been together? And it just made me feel a lot worse about myself and not better. So the exact opposite of her intentions there. And then she was just like, okay, this dude's fucking crazy. Like, I can't with this guy anymore. But then I think the last real conversation we had with each other was about, so that guy, she was actually in a long-term relationship with this dude. So the guy that she started dating, like, right at the end of 8th grade, that she went to prom with and everything, she was still dating, like, into the 9th grade and during, like, half of 10th grade. So they were together for, like, almost 2 years. And then randomly, he just said, yeah, I'm done with you. Like, he just broke up, dumped her, fucking, you know, like, just kicked her to the curb. And then she messages me, like, he broke up with me. And then she's like, again, it kind of goes back to, like, I'm the person who, like, she's known has always, like, had these feelings for, like, that I viewed her in, like, such a high regard. So she feels shitty about herself because this guy, like, just fucking dumped her ass. So she's coming to me, you know, like, venting, and, you know, because obviously, like, I'm saying, oh, you're beautiful, don't let him bring you down, like, any guy would be so lucky to have you. And of course she's, like, flattered about that, and she likes hearing that stuff, but again, I'm not the guy that she wants that to be, you know? So, but she, like, there were times where I felt like I was being used emotionally, kind of, sort of, like, manipulated, but not very often. It was only, like, those 2 times. The time before and like before high school when she was sending me those weird texts, and then this time when she says she's broke up with her boyfriend. And of course, me thinking, I can jump in right here and I can kind of take over. I could finally, maybe this is my moment again. So all that's coming back again. All the feelings are coming back, and I'm thinking finally I could be with this girl. But no, she made it very clear like she was not interested in me, and she was never going to be. Yeah. So then at the point, that's pretty much the entire story here. I didn't realize how long this video was. Holy shit. There's just so much shit that happened during that time, and for some reason I was fixated on her, and she was the only one who I wanted to be with for so many years. She was the only one, even though there was never anything romantic between us. It was never mutually reciprocated. And then it got to the point where, like, the only way I can move on from her is to, like, delete her off of all social media so I never see her again. Because I never see her in person anyway. It's just not ever seeing her ever again on the internet either, like on Facebook or Insta or anything like that. Like, just completely just trying to forget about her and move on is the only way that this can happen. So that's what I eventually did. I deleted her from everything, even though she didn't do anything necessarily bad. But I'm just like, what is it? Like, we don't have an actual, like, friendship, first of all. Like, we didn't act, like, I came to that realization at a certain point where I'm like, there is nothing. I'm just, like I said, the weird guy that is, like, borderline obsessed, or, like really obsessed with her. And that's, like, the extent of the relationship that we had. Once upon a time, years and years and years and years and years ago, we were, like, genuinely good friends, and there was nothing ever weird, and, we were just, like, two people that were cool with each other, and that was it. And, we enjoyed each other's company, but, that time had long passed, and so I was just like, yeah, I deleted her from everything. And even after that, she probably took offense to that and was, like, thinking, oh, what a fucking asshole, like, I was nice to this kid, and he just fucking ends up deleting me. But it was, like, for my own mental, like, to preserve myself mentally. It wasn't any malice intended there. Even after all that, though, months and months and months go by, and, like, junior year, I'm sitting in the cafeteria during lunch, and I'm sitting alone by myself, and then she comes over to me and is like, yeah, come sit with me and my friends, so you're not alone. Like, that just really, like, speaks to, like, just, like, again, like, the amazing, kind, beautiful soul that she was, and probably still is. I haven't really, talked to her much over the past decade, past 10 years. I haven't really been in contact with her at all or said anything, not even passing each other in the hallway in school or nothing like that, or, like, outside. No, like, I've never seen her. I saw her once. We went to the same college, but, a big college with thousands and thousands of people, so we didn't really see each other that much. But we ended up seeing each other, and just, after, like, years of not being in contact, not seeing each other, just like, oh, how are you doing, that sort of thing. But yeah, we haven't been in actual contact in a very, very long time. She randomly sent me a friend request on Facebook a few months ago, and I accepted, because at that point, like, I'm 26 years old. I'm still not gonna fucking, like, be, like, fucking fixated on this, especially someone who I haven't talked to in 10 years. And, some people may think that's hypocritical of me to say that, because, this long-ass video, really, you're not still obsessed about it. I'm not, because, the whole point of this channel is to just kind of, like, relive everything that's happened to me, the good and the bad, and just kind of, like, kind of relive those moments and those memories and how they've affected me. And I think the way that this experience affected me, it definitely fucked me up. But a lot of that was just me not understanding, how to control my emotions and how to, like, accept when someone isn't interested in you, like, so that's something, most of the bad stuff, I'd say, like, 95% of it was all, like, my own doing and my own actions that have caused that, and just me being a confused little boy that didn't understand anything. But yeah, she was a really good person. I wish, I didn't have any feelings for her, because I think, before that we had potential to be really, really, really good friends. And who knows, maybe we still would be years and years and years later if, I didn't fuck it all up. That's a common theme. I end up sabotaging my friendships with, my female friendships because I end up saying, like, yeah, I actually have feelings for you and I like you. And it completely changes the dynamic of the friendship, and it gets awkward and it gets fucked up. So it's something I didn't really learn from for many, 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 many years after that. How to actually, like, responsibly handle these situations. So, yeah, it was definitely an experience for me.